Every man carries a story he rarely speaks. A hidden war between who he was taught to be and who he's fighting to become. In a world loud with opinions, but quiet about truth, two men step into the silence. Not as gurus, not as saviors, but as mirrors. This is where the mask comes off. Where emotional armor gets heavy, where childhood wounds, relationships, failures, and victories get stripped down to their framework. Here, we challenge scripts, we question patterns, we examine the psychology of modern men, and the forces shaping how men love, lead, heal, and grow. From the weight of expectations, to the tension between men and women, to the battles inside a man's mind, nothing is off limits. Two therapists, two black men, two perspectives rooted in lived experience, scholarship, and hard lessons earned. This is deeper than conversation. This is dialogue with purpose. This is the journey back to yourself. Welcome to Banter. All right, what's up? Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Be Better Network. It's Brandon Jones, also known as Universal Jones on these YouTube streets. We are kicking off a brand new podcast right here on the channel, and I'm going to be inviting one of my friends, this person I know personally. We've known each other professionally for years. We became friends over the last year or so, and we're going to be talking about black men. We're going to be talking about relationships, all that good stuff that you typically hear, but you're going to hear from two actual therapists, psychologists, mental health professionals, as we go back and forth on how things are and what we see. And this podcast is going to be called Banter. So I'm going to bring up my friend, let him introduce himself. This is my man, Jimmie. Welcome to the podcast, Jimmie. How are you doing, sir? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute. Unmute your mic.
All
Now,
right. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Jimmy Heags in the house.
so Jimmie, tell little people about yourself. Where you from? What you do? All that good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm Jimmy Heags. I'm a local therapist here in the Twin City area. And for my day job, I work at ICO area schools, do a little work for Foster Minnesota, but primarily I got my own consulting business called Life Reexamine, where we do everything from counseling, consulting, and collaboration on everything around trauma-informed practices, restorative practices, crisis prevention, and all things related to healing the community.
Yeah. So one thing that you'll get to know about my channel, we got people from all over the place that kind of tune in. My channel has gone through several different iterations of change. I got people who are like super pro blacks, people who are super
Mhm.
professional, people who are crazy conservatives. Like it's all over the place. So
Okay, okay.
um, it ain't gonna be too many clinicians in here, though. I'll say that. So
Mm,
there may be times where we're talking and we're using acronyms and stuff. We might need to break down what something means or explain a
all right.
diagnosis and stuff like that. So just know that that may happen from time to time. Also, since it is not typical time that I usually stream, we might not get a huge viewership this morning, but on the
Mm-hmm.
playback, we should be getting some things happening. So we'll see. We'll see. But I think people will enjoy it regardless as we keep pushing forward. So so you mentioned you work full time as a clinician in a school district. You also have a side consulting business. That's
Yeah.
something I talk about as well. Like, tell us a little bit about that. Why do you have kind of like this full time job and a little bit of something on the side? Why is that something that, let's be honest, a lot of black male clinicians usually
Hmm.
have? What is that about?
Well, I'm in that unk stage, right? So I'm at this time
You gotta
where,
avoid unk stage, man. I got
yeah,
I got put
well,
in my unk place like about a year ago, and it hurt my feelings.
hey, look, if it hurt my feelings at first, then I just gave it a big old hug, and here I am.
Ah, nah.
Well, I guess in a nutshell, Brandon, I've been spending so much time doing my work for entities and organizations, and then inside this last year, I asked the question like, why not me? Why not for myself? Because I'm
Mm,
producing these things. It's kind of a lot of the information I got. I feel
mm,
like it's a convergence of a lot of information that I picked up over the years. So I just want to do it for myself not have any borders and put it
right.
under the umbrella of life re-examine. see what
Right,
happens.
right, right. Perfect, perfect. Similar to myself.
Hmm.
And how do we connect? Like, I think people might want to know that. Like, we're in the same city. We're not from the same place. You're from
Hmm.
Mississippi originally, but
That's right.
we connected professionally. You know, there's not a lot of black men who do therapy. Period. I think we're like,
Right.
I don't even think we're 2% of the field right now. I think we're even less than
Nope.
that.
Nope.
So
Less than
there ain't a
one
lot of
percent.
us. And then when you think about a state like Minnesota, where there ain't a lot of black people, we're like just a little over 6% of the
Hmm.
population. Like we stick out, right?
Oh yeah.
And one thing that I've been quoted on saying, a lot of people picked up on, is I always joke and say, you know, we're pretty much like unicorns. Like we barely
Yep.
exist. And when people find us, they hold on tight and they don't let go. And when I started saying that and sharing that, when I do public speaking, training, when I'm out working with
Hmm.
other professionals, I would say that because that's what burnt me out. Like that burnt me out, bro. Like it just took me out. And because I felt like I had to save everybody. I had to save the community. My cape was on way too tight. I was out here doing extra work, underpaid, no pay, whatever,
Hmm.
just because I was black and I was a black man, and I felt like I
Yep.
owed
That's
it to
right.
the community. So then, what that created was an opportunity for to do things like consulting, because people were like, "Hey, can you do these things?" Now they're not clinical things. I can't bill insurance for it, but somehow I still had to get compensated for my time, and that's what kind of sparked, the side business and things of that nature. But
Hmm.
now I bring all that up because we kind of have a similar journey in this path professionally. But how do we connect? Like, do you remember how we met? Or how did you hear about me? Because usually that's what happens is people are like, yo, you're that dude. Like you're that and
Yeah.
YouTube don't believe like I got the clout that I have. So go ahead and boost me up. They don't think that I'm really him. So yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, when you out here starting consulting, your names start to come up in a handful of names. Sometimes you're in the list with Resma, Sam Simmons, Larry Tucker, because these are some black male therapists doing their work out here. So I start to see your name pop up, and you went to Adler Graduate School. We
Right.
both went there, and so that makes the community real small.
Yeah.
And so when people ask me if you don't have any openings, who do you know? And I keep seeing this name, Brandon Jones. And then I think I think I met you through Sam Simmons doing a collaboration.
Yes,
I
sir.
was like, that's somebody I got to get to know because we do the exact same thing.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. And I think when you came on board from myself, man, it was like I think it was when Canopy first. Oh, I had
Mm,
seen you before, but I didn't know who you were. And typically, this is what happens: like you'll see another black male therapist, their name might pop up. You might be on a panel with them or something. But in
hmm.
the Twin Cities, we're all spread out. Like somebody works in St. Louis Park, somebody works in St. Paul, somebody works in
That's right.
Minneapolis, somebody's out in Rochester. Like everybody's everywhere, and nobody's really collective. And then we don't really have the best social groups that keep us connected either. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I don't want to diss the black social workers or the black psychologists, but let's be honest, they're kind of like exclusive groups. They don't do a good job at recruiting or marketing at all. So when you are a
Yeah.
younger black, therapist, you're just out here trying to find a little tribe and community as best as possible. It ain't really much out there. But then we'll see each other, right? We'll be posting on
Yep.
stuff or we'll pop up, and that's your opportunity to connect. But then even still, it's kind of like, well, what am I gonna find the time to actually like build with this individual? Because we're so busy doing so many different things. So it is an interesting dynamic as well. But I remember seeing you like on flyers. I'm like, okay, this Jimmie dude, this Jimmie dude. And then
Hmm.
I think I might have connected with you on LinkedIn just to make sure I had a connection point. And then Sam
Hmm.
was the person who really like, put us together for the most part. But yeah,
Yep.
that was kind of our origin story on how we got
Yeah, that's
connected.
right.
Yeah.
Ca-
Yeah.
Yeah, my job at Canopy, when I was, I'm one of the founders of Canopy Mental Health and Consulting, is to really lean into marketing and advertisement and public facing information so we can do some recruiting and retention of therapists of color. So once you start doing that, you cast your net, um, and you put your name out there, and then you go into black spaces
Mhm.
where you find therapists of color, and that's what I remember, just really putting the name out there and making sure that people know. We want to be unapologetically committed to people of color
Yeah,
in the community. So
yeah,
yeah, yeah, that was the origins right there.
yeah, yeah. What got you into therapy? Why did you choose this career path?
It sounds cliche. This career path chose me. I probably had a resume for counseling before I was in double digits of age for sure. People calling me, asking me, a variety of questions. I was that one guy who's making sure people cool, calm, and collected, coming up with a different idea on how to handle a problem, being a good listener, a good reflector. I mean, I remember countless of times with friends and families hearing them out and being able to give a different perspective and kind of playing around with it. So I've been doing this since I was a kid. And so you put the cherry on top when you get the student loans and the licenses. But therapy, that word, it's something that's probably a part of my DNA. This is how I'm wired.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, looking
and
out for the community, doing something better, helping people to talk through something, problem solving, and elevating us past animals and really leaning into the our unique ability to think about what we think.
yeah.
Love
When
that.
you did you go straight to undergrad thinking you were gonna become a therapist, or did you have a different kind of trajectory early on in your educational career?
That's a good question. I really went into graduate school. My first license is in school counseling,
All
and
right.
so I really thought to myself, "Oh, I want the summers off." And what better to have the summers off than to work at a school? And I knew that I can do some light touches with the community. Over the time, I realized quickly that the community need somebody who's more specifically trained and a little bit more deeper. And so, as I was finishing up my journey to be a licensed school counselor, I knew that there wasn't a lot more classes I needed to take to be a clinical counselor, so I
Mhm.
can just have a deeper reach. And black men, we like to hustle, so I can have a license to let me do my thing on the side
Yeah,
too.
yeah, that's funny. I had a similar experience. Like, no, I originally went to school to be a dentist. I don't know if I ever told you that, but
Oh
yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah, man, yeah. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, man. Actually, I'm gonna tell you the story because I don't think I've ever said this online. So, when I got into the University of Minnesota, I got into the General College. It doesn't even exist anymore. And really, General College was like almost like a community college style thing. It
Mhm.
was like to help students bridge into the university. So your first semester, you didn't like commit to a major yet. It was just like get your generals done, get all the general classes you get done that you can. But second
Mhm.
semester, you need to make a decision like what path you're gonna take because they transition you out of general college into your actual college, right? So
Mhm.
this is at the University of Minnesota. And I had a couple ideas of what to do. Therapy was never one of them. It was like, all right, I knew I wanted to be a dentist, and this is how it came about. Like before, like the probably about a month before I actually started freshman year of college, everybody's excited. Brandon made it. He
Mhm.
going to school. He going to the U, right? I'm not going to
Yeah,
just
to
any
you.
college. I'm going to the U.
That's
So for a
right.
lot of black folks, going to the U is like this nigga's rich. Like that's what they think.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
everybody
Mhm.
was like, Brandon's going hands off. I didn't get no help. They were just like, go, right? Because they were like, he's
Yep.
gonna figure it out, he's gonna make it. And I'm
Yep.
like, man, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm a first generation college student. The only other person in my family that I knew of at the time that went to school and actually completed was my cousin Monica, who she played for the Gophers women's basketball team, but that was like
Mhm.
12 years before me. So it was it was
Mhm.
so much removed. I didn't know what I was doing. So I was going to get my hair cut, and my barber at the time, she was like, "What are you going to school for?" And I'm like, "I have no idea." And she was like, "What do you
Mhm.
mean you don't know? You're going to college, you don't know what you're about to do?" Because everybody's just
Right.
been like, "Go to college." They ain't tell me you need to
That's
figure out
it.
something. And she said, "You know what? You should be a dentist. You got nice teeth. You should be a dentist. And dentists make a lot of money." That's all I need to hear. Dentists
Mhm.
make a lot of money. And that's why I was like, all right, I'm gonna be a dentist. That's
Mhm.
what, and I literally was on a pre-dental track at the University of Minnesota from that conversation. That's how crazy it was. Another thing
Wow.
that happened that same summer, I had went to the dentist, and this is downtown St. Paul. It's where Damn, what's that homeless center called that's down there? Dorothy Day. You know how Dorothy, you
Mhm.
been downtown St. Paul? You seen Dorothy
Mhm.
Day? They built
Yep.
that big old thing. So before they built that big old homeless shelter, there used to be a office building there, and it was a dental office. I used to go to the dentist there, right? So one day I went into the dentist, and this is just me, and this is why I think I was good to become a psychologist or a sociologist, because like I was always a very observant kid. And I remember I
Mhm.
was in the dentist office and we were there for a long time. It was me, my mom, and one of my younger brothers, and we were there for a long ass time. And I remember when it was my turn in the chair, the dentist came in, he was filling around for a little bit and he was out. The dude was in there probably like maybe 10 minutes. He was in and out. The dental
Wow.
hygienist, she did everything else, right? And I
Mhm.
remember when we were leaving the dentist appointment, and I seen the dentist drive by in a Bentley. Like he was in the parking lot. He drove past us in a
Mm.
Bentley, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's our dentist." And I knew what a Bentley was because remember when I
Mhm.
was at that time, it's cash money. It's
Yep.
it's Master P. So all the music videos had Bentleys in there, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, my dentist just drove past me in a fucking Bentley." I was like, "Whoa."
Right.
I was like, so then it was clicking because okay, I seen the Bentley. My barber said they make a lot of money. I'm like, oh, I'm about to get to the bag. But I was like, I'm about to become a dentist. So
Mhm.
I end up I literally ended up enrolling in pre-dentistry. Bro, the University of Minnesota kicked my butt, bro. I was not ready. First of all, I played football in high school, so I knew
Mhm.
a bunch of football players, and I was recruited to the U at one point. So some of the guys that when I was recruited were actually there, so I had friends already on campus. So I got to the U. I'm lying to people, telling people I'm on a football team. You get access to girls, and I got to go to school like about
Mm.
2.5 weeks early before all the other students came in because I was in a scholarship
Okay.
program. So like I started off bad. I was partying from like Wednesday to Sunday.
Right.
I was smart enough in St. Paul public schools to get through. I didn't really need to study, so I'm just kicking it, bro. I'm like, okay, college is
Mhm.
easy. I don't even have class on Wednesdays. Like I'm just balling. I'm just living my best life. I'm on a scholarship. I got a job. I got a car on campus. I'm living. I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
I
real.
got freedom. I was balling, man. I got about around this time, right before Thanksgiving, when those
Mhm.
second try grades came out, I was in academic probation, bro. I was like,
Right away. Mhm.
I ain't never had bad grades in my life. And then since I was on a scholarship program, it was called MK was the people who kind of overseen it. I had a
Yep.
counselor who was like, "Yo, you got to come see me. Your grades are so bad. You need to come talk to me." And I'll never forget her name's Crystal Ballard. Salute to Crystal. And
Mhm.
her son actually plays college. He's a big time college basketball player right now. And so she brings me in, and she's like, "Sit down, black woman." She's like, "Sit down." And, black women tell you sit down, you in trouble. She's like, "Close the
Right.
door, sit down." And I ain't never had a professional talk to me the way that this woman talked to me, and it was just like level setting. She was like,
Mhm.
"Look, I'm just gonna be honest with you. It was hard as hell getting you in this school. It's gonna be hard as hell to keep you in here." She was like, I went to Central. She was like, of the black males that came from Central, you are
Mhm.
one of five. She says statistically, three of you are going to not make it to graduation. And of the
Mm.
two of you who do, one of you will not make it on time. You better be the
Mhm.
one that makes it on time. She said, now
Okay.
get your grades fixed and go. I ain't even say. I was just like, "Yes, ma'am." When I
That's
walked
right.
out of there, my mindset was just completely shifted because it was like she pretty much validated my existence. Like you're supposed to be here, but you're fucking around. Like you need to get your shit together. Like so that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
And from there, I just hit the book. Like that's all I needed to know. I just needed somebody to just tell me, like, dude, stop effing up, get it
Yep.
together. And what that ended up doing was ultimately I ended up switching my major from pre-dentistry because I was like, I'm not gonna be able to make it with this to
Mhm.
sociology. And the reason why I picked sociology, and that's a bad switch. I would never recommend that to anybody, but
Right.
it worked for me because what you just said, I was a hustler because that's where I came from.
Mhm.
And my family's just a bunch of hustlers,
Yep.
legal and illegal. So I knew like,
Mhm.
okay, if I can finesse this, I can figure out how to get to a bag. Like it's not gonna be a problem for me. But pre-dentistry was not gonna be it because it was just like foreign. Like that math and science that even at the pre-level was so much different than what I did in high school. And I had AP and IB classes at high school, but the
Mm.
learning was different. That public school
That's right.
education versus the University of Minnesota, which is
Mhm.
typically top 25 in most majors, that was just different, bro. So when I got in sociology, it just was clicking. I understood human behaviors, race, class, gender was one of those things that I had to kind of work through due to our own kind of, you know, our own kind of community view on LGBTQA plus
That's
folks.
right.
But that was probably
Mm-hmm.
the hardest part of it. Everything else just made sense to me. So I was able to finesse that. And then I got introduced into mental health and, I was off from there. So I went on a long tangent,
No,
but
that's
that
real.
origin
Yeah,
story is important to understand. Like I
that's
kind of
right.
stumbled into this too. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how I got my major. Therapy was different though. That was another experience that I had. That I got introduced into why I should become a therapist. I had just two interesting dynamics with these two young ladies that had pretty much told me like, "Hey, I've been sexually assaulted," and I'm like, well, "Why are you
Mm-hmm.
telling me? Like, what's that about?" And really, it was about they felt comfortable with me. And my best friend Chris, he was just like, "Bro, people like talking to you because you solve a lot of problems for us, and you usually give us some pretty decent advice, and you actually listen."
Mm-hmm.
And that's all. He was like, "You should become a therapist." And again, it was just like one of those signs from God. Again, it's like, okay, let me put that into my head and let's
There it
keep moving
is.
forward. Yeah. So anyway, so that's how I got to this. I mean, there's a whole bunch of work history in there too. But how did
Yep.
you end up in Minnesota and working here? Because you ain't from here. You're from Mississippi. Like, how did you get to this point?
No, it's a gnarly experience. My mom really, it's kind of like the story of the Great Black Migration, to be honest. My mom didn't want to just be this little country bumpkin girl who grew up and was a farmer's daughter and a wife of a truck driver. And, a variety of things happened between her and my stepdad. And she said, I want to move to Minnesota. And it was the first, it's funny you asked that. It's the first adult decision I made. I had been acting out in school, getting in fights, getting suspended. She said, "Look, I really want you to come up here, but if you're going to come up here, I want you to want to come up here. You can stay with
Yeah.
a relative, but I need you to, get it together if you're going to come up here because I'm moving here because it's my wits end." And I
Mm,
was thinking, I saw her, my little sister, my little brother, and I was like, "Oh, okay, it's time to do something different." So that's when I made the decision. I could have stayed and hung out and just kind of, I don't know what life would have been like, but then I wanted to go with my mom. And
mm,
so we moved here, and it was a long time ago. It was mid 90s, and it
mhm.
was the dead of winter, and it was rough, man.
The
It was
worst
crazy.
time to come.
Yeah, and I was finished halfway in my junior year of high school, so
Mm,
I only had about a year and a half left, and
mm.
and so I came here. Only thing I know about Minnesota was Kirby Puckett and Prince. That's it. That's it.
I'm surprised
That's
Kerry made the list, man.
Yeah, Kirby, because they
Legend.
had too long won the World Series, and that's why I was aware of Kirby Puckett. I wasn't much into baseball, but the Twins had won the World Series, I think, a few years earlier, so I was aware of that. But most certainly Apollonia and Prince. I was like, I'm gonna go in and see what's I can meet Apollonia and Prince, see what's up. But yeah, man, then I've been up here ever since.
Yeah.
I got up here, went to a small charter school, which was perfect for us country bumpkins coming up here. And after that, I just started working there at this school. Took PSEO classes,
Yeah.
and then got a job at the school, and that's how I got connected with schools.
Yeah. Oh, got it.
Yeah,
Got it. And you have one master's or two?
one master's, uh, three
Three
licenses,
licenses.
two.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
So
yep,
let's dive into that a little bit because people don't always understand how that all works. Um,
yeah,
let's talk about grad school. How did you choose your grad school? Why did you go to Adler? Adler's very
yeah.
significant, very unknown. And but if you know, you know what I mean? Like
That's right.
once you become an Adlerian, it's like we're probably almost like a secret society kind of. So tell us a little bit about your grad school experience. Salute days.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been talking about hustling, right? So I
Yep.
I knew that I needed to go to school at night. I couldn't just, go to graduate school and that is the totality of my life. I needed something that's going to give me flexibility. That's
Yep.
why I went to Metro State for my undergraduate. I worked in the day and I went to school at night, and
Yep.
Adler let me just pick up where I left off and keep on working as a educational assistant in the day. And yeah, I think I was a dean of students, and in the end, go to school at night. So, and I kind of looked a little bit at Larry and philosophy and felt like it aligned with what my values are. It didn't seem too intimidating. It didn't seem too psychobabblish, like psychodynamic. You know, nobody was asking me, nobody was giving me the theory that secretly want to kill my dad
Yeah.
and take
Yeah.
over
Have
my
sex with your
mom. Or,
mom. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, and people were down to earth, friendly. You
Yeah.
know, and I'm from the South. The only thing you need to do is treat me well, and
Yeah.
we can break bread.
Yeah.
And so the journey at Adler Graduate School, you know, it's kind of like the trouble's all the same. Everybody getting off work, everybody a little tired, everybody got a lot of work to do. We just grinding and bonding, and
Hmm.
it became a lifestyle after a while.
Hmm.
And next thing you know, somebody handed me a degree telling me I'm done after a few years.
But that's
Yeah,
when the real work started, though, too. 'Cause
that's
a
where the
lot of
real
people
work
don't
started.
realize, like, when you go get your master's in counseling, that's really like the first step. Like when you get your degree,
Yeah,
it's not like other degrees, like, okay, you're done. Like that's the beginning because you have to get your clinical hours that and your supervision
yeah.
hours afterwards. That's the real to me. I think that, and I always tell my students that's the real work. Like you're about to get this
Hmm.
degree, you think you're done, but you're really getting started right now. You thought your practicum was hard, bruh. Try to get
Hmm.
these relational hours. Good luck. Like
Yeah.
it's not what you think out here. And a lot of people end up getting master's degrees in counseling, all the different, variations of counseling, and they end up going to work for like Target or Best Buy or something because they're like, this shit's too hard. I need to make more money. I got a family to
Yep.
take care of, and
That's
it
right.
is it's a grind afterwards. Like, how was your grind to get to that 2,000 hours to that licensure? And you got to take a test too. Don't forget about the test. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I lucked up. I had some real supporters. I worked at a school that serves students with special needs.
Mhm.
And when you work at a school that serves students with special needs, their mental health diagnosis is also their special education diagnosis. So I got a chance to be with a LICSW, a licensed independent clinical social worker who
Mhm.
worked at a school, and we did relational hours because we collaborated with parents. We did groups because we collaborated on skill building. We did individual. So we really forged and got creative in acquiring most of the hours from the school job that was paid, which is unheard of in
Yeah.
terms of trying to get those hours. And also, and I hadn't thought about this for years. I did some of my work at this place called Bar None. This is residential treatment
Yep.
plays out in
Yep.
I think Ramsey, Minnesota,
Yep.
something
Yep.
out there.
I've heard of Barna. Hmm.
Yeah, and then I ran a group out there with some kids who had a variety of deep challenges. And between those two, that's how I got my hours. But most of them came from having a clinical supervisor who was good at and cool with being creative and didn't do every single thing by the book
Hmm.
and was chill. And we
Yeah.
we got creative, and I we knew both that the real learning is going to come on the job anyhow, and that my brand of working as a licensed person is likely going to be primarily in schools. So then it's like customized. So yeah, man, it was easier for me than it is for most.
Yeah. 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 You're lucky, man. That grind is
Hmm.
crazy, bro. I had to work for me, and so my counseling master's was my second one. My first one was in community psychology. What it's funny because
Mm.
we went to a lot. We went to like a lot of same schools. So my
Hmm.
first master's from Metro State, and about halfway through that program, I mean, this is just me being a self starter and not having a lot of mentorship around education.
Hmm.
Because I didn't even know what the hell really I was doing. And honestly, the way I got to Metro State is I originally was trying to get a PhD back in 2008
Mm.
or 2009. I took a year off after I graduated undergrad. And at the time, my stupid self, I don't know nothing, bro. I applied to 10
Right.
top 25 schools. I literally
Oh.
went to, I don't know if you remember this. USA Today used to put out their top 25
Yeah. Yeah,
of
I remember
schools.
that. Yeah, yeah.
So, and they would break it down by like degree or subject. So I just went to sociology, top 25, USA Today, and I picked all the schools that I thought would be cool to live in those places. I applied to Vanderbilt. I wasn't getting into fucking Vanderbilt. I applied to USC, what the hell was it? Not, UC Santa Barbara. I
Mhm.
applied to North Carolina. I applied to University of Minnesota. I thought that was my best chance, so I went there. I applied to a bunch, man, literally 10 schools, bro. I
Wow.
probably got like I got like six like wait list things. Like you're not in, but you could, you could get in. And I got the rest of them was absolutely not. And I was just like, damn, I was crushed. And I was dating this chick at the time, and she was going to Metro, and she was like, Brandon, like you should think about going to Metro. They got master's programs there. Maybe you can do
Mhm.
that and then try to get your, PhD later. And I listened to her, and I ended up applying to Metro and got in. And I got lucky too because they gave you like a small window to apply, and I was getting those no's.
Mhm.
Those no's were rolling in, and I was getting crushed. I'm like, oh shit, I'm not
Mhm.
going to grad school. So she was like, just apply. Like you got like 2 weeks left, and I applied and got in. I was like, thank God. And then
Mhm.
so, but at that point, I didn't know if I wanted to become a therapist just yet. I did know I wanted to work in mental health. And about halfway through that program, they started to change some of their credentialing. And they're like, hey, this program's not set up to help you become a clinical counselor. And I was like, oh shit. So I had a decision to make, like, do I stay with this or do I move on to something else? And at the
Mhm.
time, I knew somebody who went to Adler, and she was like, yo, you should really check out Adler. You will like this. And she was in mental health, and she was telling me like this fits really well with black people. Like you might actually like this theory because when you look at it from a cultural standpoint, there's some
Yep.
connection here. So when she told me that, I went and did some Googling and was reading some stuff. I'm like, oh, I see what she's saying. So I was
Mhm.
like, you know what? I'm already halfway through this program. Let me just go ahead and finish this master's, and I'll just have two. Man, I graduated from Metro in May and started Adler in June, bro. I just went straight to it.
Mhm.
I just got straight to
Yep.
it. And because Adler is rolling all year round, they take students all year round. Well, we
Yep.
don't now. Funny how life works. I'm the vice chair of the board at Adler now, but that's a whole other thing. So
Oh, oh, we gotta get to that one later.
I do big
Mm.
things, man. I do big things.
Yeah, I do
The
as
internet
well.
doesn't know all that though. Let's say start googling shit, but
Mhm.
um. So, but they used to take year-round enrollment. So I
Mhm.
literally graduated and went straight in. That helped me because I didn't have to take all the classes, so I was able to graduate pretty fast with the second master's, and I didn't have to do another master's thesis either. So it was helpful, but I would thinking back at it, I would never get two master's degrees, man. It wasn't a
Mhm.
waste of time because I gained so much of a network at both schools, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I could have got to where I got to without both of them for sure. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, it was interesting. But yeah,
that's a
man,
journey. That's a journey.
hell yeah, it was a journey. And I was at the
Mhm.
time, let's see, this is like 2012. I was engaged. We got married in 2012. Yeah, 2012. I got married in 2012. And then we had a baby in 2013. So like all that was happening at the same time. Like, I'm doing all that. Then I
Oof.
and then I got the Bush Fellowship in 2013. So I was
Ah,
moving, bro,
he was
smoking.
rolling.
I was rolling,
He was rolling.
rolling. But the Bush
Yeah.
Fellowship helped everything that I did. Like it just propelled me to like the next level. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, man, that grind though afterwards is hard because like
Yeah.
and I think it also depends on the type of clinician that you try to become too. So for example, I think social, and this is my bias, so if there's any social workers watching, don't come at
Mhm.
me. But I think social workers have a lot easier path to licensure than any other discipline. And they probably should because they have a lot more variety that they can use their
Yeah.
degrees for. But I think their thing is way easier than everybody else's. I don't know. What do you think about that? When you look at like LPCs, LPCCs, LMFTs, social workers, like what are your from what you do supervision, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on like how those different disciplines kind of get to their level of licensure from what you've seen?
Yeah. I mean, LPCC is a newer license in Minnesota, right?
Hmm.
And before or right when I was getting mine, I think it was just a lower level license, just a licensed professional counselor. Now, of course, it's a licensed professional clinical counselor.
Hmm.
But I think that the path I took, it was similar to yours. I appreciate it. If I had to do it all over again, I would take that major interstate that social work path provides. You go in to get a BA, and it's a interstate to get your license. You just do this, do that, and do this. I spent a lot of time learning school counseling and finishing up all of that. and then going back and then getting doing some more classes. And then I did capture some internship hours and practicum
Mhm.
hours. So Metro State, or not Metro, Adler Graduate School, they honored that.
Yeah.
But I really appreciated everything I got, and what's paying off these days as I, hone my career, life re-examine, is having an educational license
Hmm.
and a mental health license. That's
Yeah.
starting to show its face because now I can do things in different areas. In education, they don't necessarily talk to people in mental health and vice versa. They do a
Right.
lot of the same work, but
Right.
it's it's strange how much they don't talk to each other.
Hmm.
And that's what I'm learning. My niche then is that gap between special education and mental health, and that's
Yep.
what I appreciate the most.
Yep.
But it wasn't easy.
And I'm sure that's where the consulting comes into the hustle, because like when you see those
Oh yeah,
gaps, it opens a huge
there
opportunity
you
for
go.
you to not just do good work and fix something that's really helping to make the education system worse, but also you can make a living doing this stuff. Like that's one thing that I found out.
Yeah.
Like, and the funny thing is too, if you don't meet people who do these things, you would never know. A lot of
Nope.
therapists are stuck at that $40,000 to $50,000 range
Mhm.
because they don't know how to finesse their degrees or utilize their interests or fill these gaps. And I
Yeah.
went in, so I went in different. When I went to Adler, I went in like I'm about to finesse this degree. Like same way
Mhm.
I'm doing my PhD now. Like my class, they're all talking. They don't even know. Half my damn cohort don't know what they're doing. They're just getting a PhD because it was the next thing to do. Man, I'm already 2 years ahead. Like, bro, I'm about to do this,
Yep.
and because
That's
I'm
right.
lining it all up. I'm lining it all up now. So once I'm Dr. Jones, I'm already flying. I'm taking off on the runway by then. And you have to do that with these degrees. These are highly skilled professional degrees. But if you don't have a business mindset or even some innovation behind you, you will be
Mhm.
stuck and you'll be like, damn, I just went to school for $60,000 in debt, and I'm stuck at a $40,000 to $50,000 level because that's what you're
Mhm.
gonna get. Well, I know every state's a little different, but on average, that's what a lot of clinical mental health professionals are making. Now, you can be specialized and go into a government system or a prison and make a lot more money, but you do have to do multiple things. You got to get some credentialing. You got to understand some things differently if you want to make some money. So, tell us a little bit
That's
about
right.
your journey because you got three different,
Oh yeah.
additional pieces to under yours. So, tell us about those.
Well, I could tell you this is a magnificent thing, Brandon. Like being able to do Pelsby. Pelsby is this body that teachers have to teachers are required to take certain classes, and now I've been approved to provide them with some classes. And I remember you telling me that you was a CEU provider for the MNBBHT.
Yep.
So I took that, and like we talking about, like being able to see the long game. So now, after being with Pelsby, that licensing board, I just as soon as I applied to the Minnesota Board of Behavior Health and Therapy, they was like, "Yeah, cool. You already got the standards, and I'm licensed in drug and alcohol counseling." So then that's kind of like a part of the blueprint. So to be able to say what I have to say has already been vetted. And then if you hire me, this is something, one less thing you have to worry about. Those licenses in those three areas help me to start to hone in and be focused with precision on what I want the consulting business to be, life re-examine. Something that talks about the relationship between special education, health, and substance abuse in terms of co-occurring disorder.
Something happened with your audio. Let's say, oh, you're muted. 1 second. Try to reset your audio real quick. I think something either came unplugged, something happened.
Now,
Say it one more time.
we got now.
Yeah, but you
We back?
sound way different than you did before.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Go for it.
Oh, okay, okay.
You're back now. Whatever,
Yeah.
something just
So
happened. You're back now.
yeah. I really try to bring it all together, just like you're saying. I'm in the long game here. School counseling. I know I got the summers off. I know I got these breaks. I know I can consult during those times. Therapy, I know that I don't have to be an administrator. I could um, see clients on the side beyond my workday. The union protects me from overtime, so nobody's gonna say, "Oh, well, you got to work till the day's done." The union say, "No, no, no. You're in a contract, so I can guarantee to see a client with the amount of time it takes for me to drive from work to get home." And then, of course, being able to help let the left hand know what the right hand doing. If a therapist is trying to help a kid with a diagnosis and the school is trying to help a kid who's in special education and it's one and the same, somebody have to speak that same language. And not only to the people involved, but generally speaking, to get their license. And so being around professional development and curating what do I bring to the table is something that I really been leaning into. And that's why, beyond just being a hustler in terms of a black man, that's why I've been saying, well, why not just focus on doing this for me? Because ain't nobody doing exactly what I'm doing the way I'm doing it in those three areas. So, drug and alcohol counseling is helpful, especially when you got a certificate in co-occurring disorder, because when you think about integrated treatment, how to do something that relates to an addiction as well as mental health, then you're on to something. You don't have to go from one place to another. You can do both of them. Talk about the nature of addiction. And addiction can be anything, video games, which is we see a lot in young folks, um, being depressed and drinking, or drinking and then you depressed. So being able to smoothly move from one thing to another has been helpful, and it's the information that people want to know, especially Black folks and people of color. They want to know and have it broke down in language beyond psychobabble and make it plain so they can feel more confident in getting help and being able to monitor and understand their progress and what they're grappling with.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
You said something that I've had conversations with early career um clinicians of color, not just black folks, but just other ethnicities. I've had a couple Hmong folks. I know I've talked to
Mhm.
a few Somali folks about this too, where they're entering the field and they feel like their racial or ethnic background is going to be a barrier to them doing the work. And I'm like, man, you guys don't understand. Like, you got to
Mhm.
shift that. You got to flip that mentality. Like, it honestly gives you a little bit of an advantage because you have a unique perspective
That's right.
that's missing across the board. But if you go into it with a victim mentality, it will hinder you because you're going to be looking for shit that's going to stop you. But if you
Yep.
flip it, like, it may propel you into some spaces that you wouldn't think that you could do. And I've seen how that's worked for a few colleagues. I don't call myself a mentor, but I do try to help people. When people reach out, I try to help as much
Yeah.
as I can. And there's a lot of clinicians that they circle back like, dude, you were right. Like, you told me this like 5 years ago and it's working. And I'm like, I'm telling you, like, you can't come into this field thinking like that it's gonna, like, you being a black person or a brown person, whatever, is going to hurt you. Like, this, there's an opportunity here because a lot of the need, and as quiet as it's kept, a lot of the programming is built off the dysfunction that a lot
Mhm.
of people of color are dealing with. And so
Mhm.
that's where we come in as fixers, helpers, things that I don't like the word fixers, but I know people use that. But we try to help, tinker
Yep.
with the things, whether it's on a system level or community level or individual level, we do those.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's very interesting. So I heard you kind of say something that alluded to that, like, yo, like, I'm supposed to be doing this. Like, this, my perspective makes a huge difference in how we
Oh
do
yeah.
things. Yeah,
Yeah, my voice and voices like ours ain't in most spaces. They're in
right,
like a small slither. That's why we're unicorns, right?
right, right.
And you heard me say, not only are we unicorns, we're flying black stallion unicorns out here.
Hey,
You're
be
just that
careful.
unique.
I got some suitors in the chat. Not just
Mhm.
playing.
Well, I'm just saying that it is true. What I just said,
Hey, yeah, yeah. But it is true, and we have to think about ourselves like that as well, and we have to operate in that manner as best as possible too. So,
Yeah.
um and understand that unique factor that you have is an opportunity to do kind of what you want to do in this field.
Mhm.
A lot of folks. Another thing I noticed too is, especially with Black folks, is we come in and we both kind of alluded to this too already, trying to fix our community, right? And
Mhm.
then as we get a little older, then we're like, no, I want to have a bigger call. I want to fix the system, and it's
That's
like
right.
we have that kind of similar thing that ends up happening. But there's different ways to do that, and one thing that a lot of clinicians don't understand is a specialization may be your tool to really go to the next level. Like
Mhm.
if your passion is about kids with autism, take that ball and run with it.
Yeah.
If you're into eating disorders, take that ball and run with it. Like whatever your thing is, don't be afraid to niche down, because that unique cultural perspective in that area is going to make you one of few, if not one of one, and that's going to
Mhm.
make you really unique. So yeah. So have you seen things like that where we run into people who kind of have a niche and it works really well for them?
Yeah, I mean, I see it a lot. I was just at a conference the other day, and I stopped by a table. I think, some of the colleagues that and they're doing their thing. And if you have a conversation, they're more than willing. There is no scarcity mindset. They're saying exactly what you're saying. Go out there and find. You are the niche. So go out there and just do you. Lean into what you're passionate about, do what people have reflected that you're good at, whatever you want to like lean in and say, I'm generally a professional helper, but I'm really a good professional helper in this area. Do
Mhm,
more of that. And so I see it all the time. And the nice part about it, when you meet other people like us, who are in mental health, they seem more than willing. I don't commonly see people with a scarcity mindset going, oh man, another flying black stallion unicorn, I better safeguard my intellectual property. They
mhm,
you know they're just telling them playbook out loud.
mhm.
And so that's what I see most of, people free to talk about the playbook, because it's plenty of work for everybody,
Yeah,
more than plenty.
yeah. And you keep bringing up all the things. It,
Hmm.
I used to have this thought process. This is early to my career. Like I'm trying to work to put myself out of a job,
That's right.
and then I realized that's not gonna happen. That ain't
Yeah,
happen. It's
won't
too many
happen.
issues, and there's enough work to go around. That's the crazy part about all this too. It's like, and I remember I used to think like, man, my job is to work to put myself out of the job. I'm trying to like get us all to this space, but not understanding like when it comes to human dynamics, man, there's always going to be something that fails. Something's not
Hmm.
going to go right. Somebody's not going to do something they're supposed to be doing. Somebody's going to get harmed, unfortunately, and that's where we come in to assist and to help with that healing process and
That's
help
right.
people find the ability to go to that next level, whether that's for them seeking salvation or just finding joy and being happy. Like we're going to be needed regardless.
Hmm.
And having that mentality that we're gonna fix the world is not gonna necessarily work. But yeah, yeah, cool. You got any questions for me? I feel like I'm interview styling you out here. You got
No,
anything for
no.
me?
Yeah.
Go
Well, I
for it.
got a couple of things. Some people often ask me, do I know any black male therapists with openings? And I tell them, hey, look, I can't find a black male therapist with an opening for me, so I most certainly can't for you. And if I did know some with openings, chances are they're gonna say, man, we can do happy hour. I ain't being your therapist, because nobody wants to be put to work by another person in the business. And
Hmm.
so when I think about that, and I think about our relationship, our friendship, the question I have for you is, how many people can you confide with or talk to that can understand where you're coming from as a black male therapist?
If I'm being honest, it's probably like four,
Mm,
and
mhm.
they're all counselors or therapists in their own right, and they're all older than me too. That's the other thing. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay,
you're one of
okay.
those four, by the way. Just so you know.
Well, it's probably, I mean, I think I know the other 3. It
Yeah.
ain't a lot of us.
Yeah, it's probably about four. I mean, maybe five, but I don't like. I think about Dr. Garrett is another. I don't know if you know who Dr. Garrett is. Like he's always periodically reached out to me like, if you ever need something, let me know. He's an OG when it comes to black psychology, very well known in the state. Do you know Dr. Garrett? Dr. Willie Garrett?
Yeah, he's a black, yeah, black
White hair?
psychologist. Yeah,
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 black
yeah.
psychologist. Yeah. He's
He a
not he's
trendsetter.
yeah, yes, yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm like, I could probably go to him if I ever need something because he's always left that out there. And when I see
Hmm.
him, he's always like, yo, like he's like, man, what are you doing? Because he's always he sees me as somebody who can do some things. So I probably could add him to that list too.
Let me ask you this: when you talk to people and they say, "Are you reading my mind?" or "Are you therapizing
Yeah.
me?" How often do you get that, and what do you say?
um, this person right here, she tells me that all the time. That's my homie. Um, I do get that all the time. I get that in family dynamics. I never get it in my friendship dynamics because most of
Hmm.
my close friends, they were friends of mine before I became an actual
Yeah.
clinician. So they're like, that's just who he is. But like
Hmm.
dating, bruh, dating, that's like what once they find out what I do, they're like, look, don't be pulling that stuff on me. I ain't doing nothing. But
Hmm.
and to be honest though, you know, once you are clinically trained, it's hard to turn it off. Like
Yeah.
you can, but your mind, you're always scanning. Your ears are trained to pick up on things. You're always viewing patterns.
Hmm.
Um, you're you can kind of get an inkling or a feeling where somebody may be coming from even before they realize it, right?
Hmm.
Like there's a lot that comes with being clinically trained that I know is hard for me to turn off, but I
Hmm.
intentionally don't act upon it. So I might pick up something on someone, and I'm like, they're not ready to hear this, or I shouldn't say this to them right now, or don't do that. So it does happen. But when I'm developing relationships with people, whether it's I use dating, but just like friendships,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I have heard that a lot actually. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: how does it feel to be a professional listener? And when I first started therapy, I was like, "That got to be made up." You walk
Hmm.
into a place, people repeat back what they heard you say, and then they give you a bill. And is
Hmm.
that a real thing? Because Black people come from such grit and grind and cult and hustle culture, and it takes a while to, they talk about destigmatizing mental health. One of something that's more specific is being able to destigmatize. I got to pay this person some money to listen to me. I don't
Hmm.
know about all of that.
Hmm.
How does it feel to receive money as a professional, air quotes, listener?
Amazing. It feels amazing, man. I thank God
Uh,
literally almost every day now that I can make a really good living from my thoughts. Like
mhm,
just I mean, Jimmy, there's been times, bro, where I have watched a show and there was something in the show I was like, oh, that'd be a good training.
mm,
And this is before AI. And I'd
mhm.
be like, let me steal this line out of this TV show for a title and let me flesh this out because what I just
There you
seen
go.
in this Netflix special reminds me of these situations around family dynamics. And then somebody calls, yo, Brandon, we're looking for a training. We don't really know what we want. I'm like, well, let me throw this at you. What do you think about this? And then that training turned into $15,000 that year. Like
Mhm,
just from me watching a Netflix show. And again, this is
mhm,
before now that I have AI, oh my god,
mm,
bro.
mhm,
You know how many ideas I throw into one of my AIs and it just flushes it out for me, and then I go back, flush out some more. I just
mhm,
got hit up for a company that I worked for a few years. We do online continuing education trainings. And
mhm,
for some reason, they've been like, we need more of you. And so the lady, she hit me up back in August. She was like, yo, can we get at least 4 trainings for you before the end of the year? But we want to do ones we already did. And if you have anything new, let me know. So this time around, she's like, hey, your trainings have done pretty well. We want to get you down for Q1 of 26, but we want all new content. What do you have? Lo and behold, over the last few months, I've been working on so much stuff. I sent her 8 new trainings, and she
mhm.
replied back like, "Dude, like, who are you?" And I'm like,
Right,
"Who I
right.
am is a fool who been working with AI, and my brain was
Yep.
already halfway there." And she was like, "Yeah, I need all these. I don't know how we're gonna make this work, but we're gonna just go ahead and put you on the schedule for the rest of the year." And it's like that's the power of being able to do these types of things. So when you talk about being a
Mhm.
professional listener, we can pick up on things from anywhere. We can grab content from a lot of different spaces and make things happen.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I even think about my online space. Like a lot of the folks who are in the chat, like these are like colleagues and friends of mine from particular spaces, and where a lot of us are in Discord or we're on like panel conversations, and
Mhm.
I might pick up on something in those spaces that they don't. And when I point out, they'll be like, "Damn, like that makes a lot of sense." But it's just because I
Yeah.
hear so much and I hear it a little differently than some people because I've been trained to.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I mean, I really like how you talk about just kind of being. You're just
Hmm.
at a state of being. And then next thing you know, things just kind of jump out at you and it jumps out kind of loud,
Hmm.
like medium to loud. And then you go with it. You know how to isolate things. It's it's strange for some people to understand what's happening, but they do know that it's happening. I mean, I was just talking to a client earlier today, and she want to get a lot off her chest, and I was like, tell me what you want me. And then there were some points where I knew that I had to slow down, go back, and I usually say, hey, we're gonna put the car in park right here. We're gonna park here for a minute, and we're gonna spend a little time unpacking this thing that you said. So here's the context I heard you say it. Here's exactly what I heard you say. Here's the questions I got about it.
Hmm.
And that took that elevated where we're gonna go and how we're gonna plan. So when I hear you talk about things jumping out, they
Hmm.
jump out so much, it's kind of like, oh, let's rewind that, right? And
Hmm.
then you lean in, people like, yeah, that's it.
Hmm.
And then you create good movement. It's kind of like,
Right.
what I think about? You ever see those jazz players when one person start playing and the
Yeah.
other hear it, and
Yeah.
then they
Pick up
catch a
on it.
beat. Next thing you know, they start playing together. That's how I
Hmm.
feel sometimes.
Hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I seen that a lot. I seen that often too. I've also seen the reverse where people are like, "Is this the therapist talking to me or the person?" And I'm like, "It's kind of both." Like, or I let them know,
Hmm.
like, "Look, this is not my professional opinion. This is just how I feel as an
Yeah,
individual."
that's right.
So it can happen kind of both ways, and people kind of expect like, which version of you am I going to get at this point? But it's an interesting dynamic nonetheless. Nonetheless, yeah. What other?
Speaking,
What? Go for it.
I was just gonna say, speaking of which, it seemed like you present like it integrated. There's no, I'm doing a job and now I'm off work. It seemed like it's like a flow state, and people want to
Hmm.
know more than you want to know about yourself.
Hmm.
Who's who, and who's on who am I talking to now? But what I believe I hear you saying is that it's a steady state of who you are. You
It
don't just
is.
say, "All right, I'm off work as a therapist, and now I'm just a black man chilling."
Yeah. I think that's a lot of I think there's a lot of careers like that where it does become a part of you. It's not your
Hmm.
job title, it's like how you operate. I think like cops are probably like that too, where
Hmm.
they're always assessing and scanning and protecting,
Yeah, that's right.
or people, maybe even like military people, I think too. I'm not trying to make us seem like we're like public servants to that extent, but I think those are
Hmm.
some of the areas where it's always just kind of in you. I think teachers may be like that, or nurses too, where they're just
Hmm.
kind of nurturers and healers and helpers,
That's right.
just kind of naturally. But yeah, as a psychologist though, because again, when we go through those 2+ years of additional
Yeah.
training, like that is a conditioning, that's a socialization that's taking place. And especially at Adler, I know one of my biggest experiences at Adler, and I know you had to do this, was didactic. I don't know if you remember your didactic
Yeah,
experience.
I do.
That was like my
Hmm.
favorite thing, and that was at the end. I'm like, man, I wish I would have did this at the beginning. But that
Yeah.
was such a powerful experience for me. I don't even know why. I was just like, damn, this was so good. And that was just like the longest, best weekend of my academic life, man. It was
Hmm.
good. But that was a socialization. Like we were being integrated into a thought process and into a way of impacting the world. And I appreciated it. It wasn't like it was done in a malicious way or to harm us. It was like, no, go out there and be the leaders who can make the social who have social interests and can make a social impact to the best of your
Hmm.
ability. So for me, that really set like that really anchored in me, and I haven't been able to like shake it. Now, there are times where I can just take a step back. Again, trained myself how to step out of it because I can be a fixer and I don't want to fix everything for everybody. I know it's not right. Sometimes you gotta allow people to do things on their own.
Right. That's right.
But yeah, I would say that's been my experience with it for sure.
Okay. Well, Brandon, I got, you if you let me interview you, man, we're gonna
But no, you
well,
could.
hey,
I
okay.
mean, this is the origin episode. We're gonna get
Yeah,
into topics as we keep going, but right now
yeah.
we're kind of allowing the audience to get to know us a little bit. We got a few people still here, and salute to the people who showed up. I'll do salute to Low for showing up, salute to Get Crack for being here, salute to Stanley, Daniel Nixon, salute Mooncake, hello, salute
What's up?
Quadratic, salute, and Gary, and these are all friends of mine, by the way. But yeah, go ahead, ask some questions. You can ask away.
Okay. So I'm gonna tell you a short story, and I want you to just react to kind of how you stay centered and grounded in your why. There's some time, like I believe in helping people, my people, so much. There was a time where I took a flight to Memphis. I got in a rental car and I drove to the Mississippi History Museum. I went there and I just looked at this short story of the African diaspora. And
Mhm.
then I went back to my hometown where my mom met my dad. And in this graveyard, there are tombstones that was around 1870. That means that these people was
Oh,
born into slavery,
and
right?
slavery, yeah.
Yep. And this is a place where it's a old, this is what they call the old Negro burial. No white people are buried here at all. And it's in this abandoned space, a place where my mom is buried. And then so I go to the museum, I get myself, I feel all of the feelings I have about being a part of this short story. I see this town that I was born in, that there were lynchings there. I go to that town where my mom's buried, and I say to myself, look, I'm doing this for the descendants of formerly enslaved people. If there's any reparations, it needs to be mental health. And if I can give something back, this is what I want to do beyond, having a fulfilling life. When
Mhm.
you think about your why, that things that kind of get you a little fired up, what does that look like?
Mm,
What's the
yeah.
story you tell yourself? What do you constantly go back to kind of get that fire going?
Yeah, mine's is really selfish and personal, to be honest. And I always
Okay.
battle myself like, "Dang, I gotta say something better than this." But honestly, my why is I don't want children to go through the same thing that I went through. And if I can
Mm-hmm.
do something to prevent it or to intervene better than what I had to, that's kind of my why. And all my work, in a weird way, and a lot of people don't know this, but in a weird way, everything that I've done, all my strategic moves on boards, on projects, initiatives, any fellowship that I've won, and I've won a lot, they've
Mm-hmm.
all been centered around creating a better space for children. Even my
Mm,
business, this channel actually used to just be called the Jegna Institute. My business
mhm,
is Jegna Consulting. Most people don't know what a Jegna is, but it's a word that comes from the region that's like East African at this point, like Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea. But it's a person who dedicates themselves to advancing the people, places, and things to better
mm,
outcomes for young. So,
mm,
I've always kind of hid that little part of myself, but I've always tried to focus on creating a better environment for children because my childhood was awful. If I'm being honest, now it was better than a lot of other kids. I'm be honest about that too.
yeah,
But the amount of domestic violence, the amount of family dysfunction and dependency on drugs,
mhm,
the disconnection, like it could have been a lot better, but it wasn't. And I think that I'm not ashamed of my background. I can talk about it publicly because I've done my own level of healing and I'm continuing to
mhm,
do it. But that's what led me to doing this type of work, and my purpose and passion is to eliminate those opportunities for all children that I can, not just my own.
mhm,
I used to say in like trainings and stuff, like I'm proud when I talk about my family, I would say I'm proud to say that my kids don't have a concept for what domestic violence is. Like I don't even think
Mm.
my kids know. Matter of fact, I'm gonna ask my daughter when she gets home today. Like, do you know what domestic violence is? Like, she might not even know what
Yeah.
it is because she never experienced it. She might have seen it on TV somewhere, maybe,
Oh, that's
but
yeah.
maybe not. I don't think so. Um, but I knew exactly what it was very early. I knew how to
Mhm.
survive it at like 3 years old. I
Mhm.
one of my earliest traumatic experiences was I don't know how this picked up, but when I was in the either the first or second grade, I noticed a pattern when I came home because my bus would pass my house to get to my bus stop. And I
Mhm.
noticed this pattern when it was warm outside. And remember, Minnesota didn't always warm outside. But when it was warm outside, if there was a fight before before I got home from school, like if there's a fight in my house, my
Mhm.
mother would have the door open in hopes that somebody would hear and call the police. Okay, now
Oh, oh wow.
this is me
That's
at
crazy.
like 7 picking up on this.
Mhm.
If the door was closed, that meant that everything was fine. But for some reason, if the door was open, she was
Mhm.
trying to get some help pretty much.
Mhm.
And I remember I used to always pass the door closed. I would have I didn't know this at the time. Now when I reflect back, I'm like, damn, I was probably having like some serious like anxiety looking at the door. Is the door
Oh
closed?
yeah, I
The door
bet.
is closed. So the bus will pass the house. I'm looking at the house. Is the door closed? Is the door closed? Is the door closed? And there was one day the door was open. And I was like, "Fuck!" Like, as a kid,
Mm.
the bus stopped, and I didn't get off the bus. I was scared. I didn't get off the bus, and this is like I'm like the last stop too. So the bus driver was like, "You need to get off the bus, kid." And I
Right.
couldn't tell him what was going
Mhm.
on. I'm like, "I
Mhm.
can't get off this bus. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I'm about to walk into." And the bus driver actually walked me to my house. Now, I don't know, the bus driver, I know something happened, but it wasn't happening at the time. But you can tell shit was
Mhm.
like moved around the house and like my mom wasn't like physically showing any scars, but she looked like she's been having a rough day. We'll say it that way. And the
Mhm.
bus driver dropped me off, and then it was like, damn, I just proved my point. Like this is what it is.
Mhm.
And what that reminds me of today is one of the times when my parents had got into a fight. Um, and I was outside. Me and my brothers were outside playing with our friends, and we hear my mom screaming. So I run to the house,
Mhm.
run up the stairs, walk into the building or into the house, and I see my stepfather choking my mom with our dog's chain, and the
Mm.
dog is trying to attack my stepfather
Wow, that's
and
crazy.
break this. And
Mhm.
I just remember, and I can literally like vividly see this. I'm walking into the house and I
Mhm.
just see my mother gasping for air. Like this is very graphic. I'm sorry, folks, but this is the reality.
Mhm.
And I don't remember at that point. I know I intervened, but I kind of blacked out. So I don't remember exactly what happened afterwards. But that's that moment of just like freeze for me. It's like boom, takes me to that
Mhm.
spot. I used to have panic attacks about that. I used to have dreams about it. It used to just get me stuck, right? And those are the types of things that where I go with these things. So I don't want children to have the same type of dynamic that I end up having. So I try to prevent those things, and I tell those stories, and I do the work that I do because I know that there's children who've seen things like that or worse and end
Mm.
up in pretty bad situations. So, but I know you got to go soon, so I don't want to keep you too long with my story time. We will be having another podcast
Oh, we gonna get
pretty
it.
soon.
It's
Yeah, we're
on
gonna
now.
get into all this. Yeah. Now that we got
Yeah.
you familiar with StreamYard a little bit, we're gonna finesse this
Yep.
as we go. Any final thoughts, questions, or anything you got before you roll out? And I can close out without you if you need to hop right now.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. If mediocre therapists are okay. Don't wait to get to the most quintessential therapist. I hear a lot of people say, I just want somebody who's good. I would say just start with somebody who's just okay. Because when you got a lot going on, an okay therapist is good enough to just hear you out. And sometimes it's worth hearing you out. That's good enough. For example, think about the times where you went to happy hour with the homeboy or the homegirl, and then you got some stuff off your chest, how good that felt to just have somebody to be there for you. Even if they were supporting, maybe they ain't tell you everything about you. They just say, you go, girl. Oh man, that's messed up. It's their fault. Even if you're with a mediocre therapist, maybe you're spending some copay money and you're getting the same thing. At least somebody's centering you, and it's not a share, so you don't feel an obligation to say, "All right, now you tell me your stuff." So I usually call it a socially acceptable way to be self-centered, and I would encourage anybody to just go in there and do it and just let them hold the burden of trying to figure you out until you can get on a list with somebody preferred. I would say just start with somebody basic and it's okay.
Mm.
Yep.
Man, thank you for saying that, man. That's a good way to end because I think a lot of people are trying to find that exact fit. And I always tell people, man, if you can get somebody, just get started. You can
Yes.
fire them later, but get comfortable with
Yes.
it. Especially if your insurance is paying for it. Like, just get in.
Yes.
Stop trying
Just
to
get in.
find the cultural match and all that. Like, find somebody if you can that specializes in what you're struggling with. That's what's the best thing for you. Not that they look
That's
like
right.
you.
Yep.
So,
Don't hold out for unicorns.
yeah, because there ain't a lot of us. You
Ain't
wait
a
for
lot
that
of
black belt therapist while your life is
don't
falling
do it.
apart.
Don't
You
do
better
it.
go get with Sasha, the 45-year-old white woman from the burbs. She might be able
That's
to be
right.
the person that might get you through. Seriously, my therapist was an old white man from Greece, and he was amazing. And I didn't think
Hmm.
we had anything in common, but that man helped me out a lot. And salute to
Hmm.
George Papa, though. Man, that man
Hmm.
helped me a lot. So yeah, you never know. But I know you got to go, man. Appreciate you, Jimmie. Jimmie will be back on the channel, folks. We'll see
Can't
you
wait
later,
till next time already. Peace out.
man.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Yes, see you later, man. I'm gonna close it out. All right, so as you all can see, we're doing things a little differently around these parts now. Moving along with some content, more content to come. A couple different podcasts, a couple different offerings. This was Banter, where we get together, two black male therapists, talk about the field, talk about what we see amongst people and dynamics. Sometimes it be from a cultural perspective, but honestly, it's just from a mature masculine perspective. And I say that because one thing Jimmie did not let you all know is he actually knows a little bit about the red pill stuff. He surprised me one day. We were having some bourbon. So let me actually tell you how I connected with Jimmie and how we became really really good friends. Is we reached out like, man, we need to just know each other, so let's just meet. And I'm like, yeah, you know how you do things. Yeah, let's get coffee, whatever. We'll figure it out. But what happened was, this is gonna sound like a super big back thing, but we were both friends on Facebook, and on Facebook there is a pretty popular Facebook group about burgers. Now, if you don't know about Minnesota culture, we do have a little bit of a foodie culture here, and one of our big things is burgers. Like, we are a big burger state. People love burgers. And we have our own burger that's pretty famous called the Juicy Lucy. If you don't know what that is, go ahead and Google it. I'm not a big Juicy Lucy fan. I don't, even though I'm from Minnesota, I've had them. But people come literally travel here to taste a Juicy Lucy. Not my thing. I like smash burgers personally, but that's a whole nother thing. But anyway, so I'm in this burger group and I see there's a post that goes viral, and there's a back and forth going on in the post. And I look at the back and forth because I'm like, what is this? Why is everybody talking about this damn burger? And I see Jimmie in there fighting with somebody. And I'm like, wait a minute, I know him. So I reached out and I'm like, bro, stop arguing with these people on this burger blog. Like, it's gonna be okay. He was like, man, you don't understand. But then we just kind of build that little friendship there. And I'm like, since you're like burgers, I like burgers. Let us go ahead and have some burgers. So we end up meeting up for dinner one night. We had burgers, bourbon, and we were having conversation. And I was like, man, we should call this burgers, bourbon, and banter. And that's where the banter thing came from. And then eventually we started meeting once a month for dinner, having conversations, and we were like, we should just do a podcast together. So that's how the origin story came out. And me and him, we still meet every third Thursday of the month for the most part, unless something's happening. Have dinner, chop it up, and now we're gonna try to spin this thing to a podcast because I think we have some interesting perspectives on things when it comes to mental health, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to family dynamics, and it may be something that you may hear that may help you as well. So thank you all for tuning in and coming by. Salute to all you people. I will consider you all my friends. Low, Get Crack in the building. Stanley, Daniel Nixon, the lovely Mooncake, Quadratic, Garion, and of course Napstar. I appreciate you all for coming on by. Feel free to share the episode if you think is good. More to come. I don't know what our regular schedule is going to be, but just plan for a few different episodes to come out over the next few weeks as we both are freeing up our calendars to make sure that we have a commitment for this show. All right, folks. I hope that all is well. Yeah, you missed it, Napstar. You missed it. It's okay, bro. It's okay. You can watch it on the playback. Yeah, it was a decent conversation. You guys will learn a little bit more about myself, and you'll meet one of my friends, Jimmie Heags. So, all right, folks, that's going to do it for us today. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. Be constructive. Be well. And I'll holler at you all soon. Peace.
Every man carries a story he rarely speaks. A hidden war between who he was taught to be and who he's fighting to become. In a world loud with opinions, but quiet about truth, two men step into the silence. Not as gurus, not as saviors, but as mirrors. This is where the mask comes off. Where emotional armor gets heavy, where childhood wounds, relationships, failures, and victories get stripped down to their framework. Here, we challenge scripts, we question patterns, we examine the psychology of modern men, and the forces shaping how men love, lead, heal, and grow. From the weight of expectations, to the tension between men and women, to the battles inside a man's mind, nothing is off limits. Two therapists, two black men, two perspectives rooted in lived experience, scholarship, and hard lessons earned. This is deeper than conversation. This is dialogue with purpose. This is the journey back to yourself. Welcome to Banter.